抢光了。Okay, so we're live now, everybody, right? It's very exciting. We're very honored to have one of the original founders of the Red Pack Nation, retired at 20s, Mr. Lorenzo Roybal, who's top rank in our company after 11 years in this business, right? He's going to share with us his life, his journey, and why he still believes this is going to be the biggest thing ever in the network marketing industry and the travel industry. All right, man, Lorenzo, everybody wants to hear your story, so take it away, man.
Right on, man. Well, thanks for the nice intro, and thanks for having me on. I feel honored to, be a guest speaker for Asia. I mean, all we've heard about is just how awesome everybody is over the last several years, and actually I had a chance to do a boot camp out in Malaysia. I think it was in 2014, but that was about 4 years ago now. So that was the first and the only time I've been out there. And, again, we just look up to you guys so much, and we're just trying to follow your lead. So again, we're just grateful to be on this thing. But, I don't know how familiar you guys are with the States, but I'm from Colorado. So it's like right in the middle. I got started in Worldventures when I was 19. I was 19. I was in my freshman year of college. Didn't have any business background. Didn't have any entrepreneurs in my family. Didn't have any, network marketing experience, any of that kind of stuff. I was just, go to school, get good grades, get a degree, and then go out and get a good job. And that was pretty much my path. And so when I saw that, so that's where I was at the time. And then my best buddy called me up one night and said, "Hey, man, got something you got to see," and came and dropped this thing in my lap. And so it wasn't something I was really looking for, but I was definitely open for something just because I had a bunch of my friends that were getting out of college that were in a lot of debt. They were moving back home because they couldn't find jobs, or they were doing something that had nothing to do with what they went to school for. So I was kind of just open for something else because, between that and looking at my parents and a lot of their friends, I mean, they just, they just work all the time. They're stressed out. They're overworked. They don't have time and money to do the things that they want to do. And they've been working for 20 or 30 years. And so I was basically running on the exact same path. And so when he showed me Worldventures, it really just rocked me on my heels because it was so different than anything I had ever grown up, learning about. Because, again, my one track mind was the only way that you can be successful is by going to school and getting a degree. And so if you get a degree, you can be successful. If you don't, then you can't. And so that was really beat into my mind my whole life. And so getting a chance to see something like this, where just average people, could plug into a vehicle that could actually take them somewhere pretty special. I was really fired up about just doing something a little bit different. And what's cool is we didn't have to, quit our job. We didn't have to drop out of school. It was something that we could do part-time on the side. So that's how we got started. And really, my best buddy, it's because he showed it to me. I mean, we could have been, selling dog food, and I probably would have signed up just because I was kind of itching for something. And thankfully it was travel, and we sell the best thing on earth, but I signed up because it was my best buddy. So that's how I got started. And, not just was that my background, but, just on a personally developed level, I'm a pretty shy guy. I'm pretty reserved. I don't, this was something that was very outside of my comfort zone. I mean, I didn't really like talking to people at the time. And so, I never really saw myself doing something like this, but it just felt really good in my gut. And I felt like God put this thing in my life for a reason. So we got started and really just carved out a few nights a week to start with. I ended up making my money back pretty quickly, but that's as quickly as I made it, I spent it just quickly. So we, got out of the blocks relatively fast, but we kind of, just were spinning in place for a couple of months. And thankfully, my sponsor, Mark, ended up pushing me to go to a national training out in Minnesota, which is about a 15-hour drive. And at the time, being 19, not having a job, not having any income, I made a few bucks with Worldventures and I spent it all. So I was still just as broke as when I started. They were telling me about going to this training, and, we couldn't afford to fly there. So we were going to have to drive 15 to 20 hours through the middle of winter, which is, always snowing season. So we drove through a blizzard. The ticket for the event was $300, and we had to stay there, get there. So all in all, it was like an $800 to $1,000 weekend between all of our expenses. And that was just not something that we had pouring out of our pockets, but they, but thankfully they pushed me hard enough to go and didn't really accept my excuses because I kept saying, I don't have the money. And they just wore me out until I finally just caved and said yes. And so we ended up figuring it out, putting some money together. 7 of us drove in a van, 15 hours to Minnesota, got a chance to meet Wayne, the owner, got a chance to meet the executives, the toppings earners. And that's just where we fell in love with Worldventures. I mean, I wasn't just in Worldventures anymore, but now it was really inside of me. And I was all about it. It was all I wanted to do. So I basically just blocked everything else out in my life and said, I'm going to go do this because I feel like this is home and this is what I need to do. And that's actually the event that we kind of turned the coin Rat Pack, because I remember I was talking to Jefferson Santos in the back with him and Wayne. And they were telling us about back in the day when they were building some other companies, they had a younger group of 19-year-olds, and they named their team the Rand Pack, so retired at 19. And so we were already almost 20 years old, so we're like, 19 is not going to work, so we decided to go with Rat Pack, retired at 20, and that would last us through our 20s and 30s. And so that's kind of where that started. And so when we came back home, as excited about Worldventures as we were really sharing the story of our team of just being able to do something different, go against the grain, work hard for the next 4 years. Because most people, when they go to college, I don't know how it is out there, but out here in the States, you got a 4-year degree. And most people, when they're going to college, they're not focused on anything other than just having fun, and partying and having a good time. And so they party for 4 years, and then they got to go work for the rest of their life because they were just doing what everybody else was doing. And so our story was, let's still have fun, but let's go work for the next 4 years so that we can take the rest of our life off. We can have a different lifestyle than what everybody else is doing. So we just made that kind of our cadence, and we were still doing it part-time. I ended up coming back home. I dropped out of school. This is all I wanted to do. I'm not saying you need to do that, but that's just what I did. And we just built our whole team around coming to these trainings, because I remember at that first training, just the feeling that I got that weekend. My belief got so high, and the music that I was playing when I was talking to people was just way different. And so up till that event, I think we had put about 27 people on the team in about 2.5 months, which wasn't anything crazy, 27 in 2.5 months. And over the next 30 days after that big training, we put in over 70, so we, doubled, tripled our team over the next 30 days just from everything that we got from that training. And so I figured, heck, I don't have to be the best at anything. I'm not the best speaker. I'm not the best trainer. I'm not the best closer or, any of that stuff. But if I can just get my team to these trainings and make my business around that, then the trainings are going to teach them how to go do it. It's going to build leaders, and then they're going to start multiplying. And then it becomes less about me and more about the team. And so that's really all that we did. The two main things that we did to build our business was we managed our activities. So if you're going to write something down, first thing is manage your activity, which is just doing the meetings. You got to show up and you got to do the activity. You got to do your one-on-ones, your two-on-ones, your travel parties, your Zoom presentations. I mean, all of this stuff works, but the bottom line is you just got to get people in front of it. You got to get butts in the seats. And so that's what we did, was we'd go back home, set up our exposures, and go through the numbers. Some will, some won't, so what? And in the beginning, we got a lot more no's than we got yeses, for sure. I mean, we got people that were talking crap about us all the time, and making, I remember back in the day, I had a really good close group of friends that I grew up with, that when I showed them Worldventures, they thought it was a scam. They thought it was illegal. They made little Facebook groups just talking smack about Worldventures and what Lorenzo was doing, and just to not, be about it. So I had a bunch of resistance, but that's just the stuff that really motivated me at the end of the day, because the more people that told me that it wouldn't work, the more I wanted to make it work so that I could prove them wrong, And so we just kept doing our meetings, and the way the trainings worked back then is we had a big training, like a boot camp or like a momentum every 30 days, and it was always a 15 or 20-hour drive. There was never anything in our state because there was just not a big enough team yet. And so we would, go 30 days just doing the meetings, getting people in. And then our goal was to just get more people to the next training than we had at the last one. And if we got that number bigger, then we knew our check was going to get bigger. And that's really what started to multiply things. So we just built from event to event, because I learned from Mark Aceta. He said, if you build your business around the training, then the trainings are going to build your business. You just got to get the people there. And so we just got really good at promoting. And over the course of time, that's what started to grow our team. And for us, it wasn't anything overnight by any means. I mean, we were young. We had a lot to learn. I had a lot of growth to go through, not just, personally, but leadership wise. I had a lot of stuff to learn, but at least we were showing up. We were doing the activity. We'd get punched in the face all day long, get no after no, and we'd get some people in and some people would quit. And, you go through all of these experiences, but, we always learn that the only way you can fail is if you quit. And you just got to keep showing up. I mean, you got to be around the fire, because if you stray too far away from the fire, you end up getting cold. And then that's when people quit, because they make all these little decisions to not go to the travel party, and they don't go to the training, and then they don't go do that meeting. And so it's all of these, you know, little compromises that people make every day that ultimately lead to their failure because they end up quitting. And then on the flip side of that, it's all the little easy decisions to just do the meeting and keep showing up that ultimately add up to your success. And so about 4 years into it, we weren't making a whole bunch of money. I mean, I hit director in about a year. It took me about 2.5 years to hit marketing director. And after 4 years, we were still marketing director. I think my first year, I made $8,000. My second year, I made $18,000. My third year, I made $26,000. And then my fourth year, I made $36,000. So at least we were making more money. But remember, after my first training, I dropped out of school. For the last 11 years of my life, this is all I've ever done to make money. So I haven't had a side job. I kind of did it the hard way. I wouldn't recommend it to people, you know, but that's just, I just wanted to do Worldventures. I was just so sold out on it. So, you know, so while 36 grand, you know, part-time, if you already have a job, that makes for a pretty good story and a pretty good enhancement in your lifestyle. But if you're doing this thing full-time after 4 years and you're still only making 2 or 3 grand a month, I mean, you really are, you're feeling it. Like you're putting in more money than what you're making, but we just kept showing up. And then after the fourth year, there was a lot of different things that happened, from our personal growth to, you know, the season that we were going through as a company to, you know, just kind of everything coming in alignment. And my income and my team just exploded. I mean, we went from 36,000 my fourth year. And at the end of my fourth year, I had actually gone from marketing director back to director. So I was on the backslide. I had about 180 people on one team and about 190 on the other. That's how I was set up. So we were going backwards, and then things just, you know, I don't know, the switch just flipped. I mean, things just started to take root. In over 90 days, we went from director to RMD. So we put about 1,200 new sales in during a really slow time during the winter season, typically here in the U.S. We were cranking. And then from that point, so I went from director to RMD in 3 months. And then 6 months after that went national marketing director. And then 6 months after that went IMD. And so about 5.5 years in, we finally hit the top level of the company. And that's where we've been at for the last, you know, better part of the last 6 years now. And, you know, it's worth it. I mean, the first 4 years, we were just growing. We were doing the stuff we needed to do. We were just preparing. You know, we had to grow in a lot of different ways. And I feel like after 3 or 4 years, mentally, I was an IMD because I had been to the trainings. I've been doing all of this stuff, but my check just hadn't shown up yet. And so after 4 years, it was like my check just started to catch up with me, and it exploded. You know, I went from making $1,000 a month to 10 grand a month to 15 to 20 to 30 to, you know, upwards of $50,000 a month. And I mean, it's been amazing. You know, that's how the last 6 years of our life has been. And it's not so much the money. I mean, it's just the freedom. You know, I mean, the residual income's unbelievable. You know, they pay for our house, they pay for our cars. We haven't paid for any travel over the last 7 years. I mean, we've been on 35 dream trips, all completely paid for. And, you know, we've made several $1 million with the company. And so it's just allowed us to have a pretty crazy lifestyle that for sure I would have never had if it wasn't for Worldventures. And what's funny about it is now a lot of my buddies that were giving me, you know, grief, you know, 10 and 11 years ago, a lot of them have been working for 8 or 9 years now in the real world. And they realize that's not what they want to do for the next 20 or 30 years. So a lot of them are starting to join now and trickle in because we were just steady with it. We were consistent and persistent and then just stayed the course. And then eventually these people start funneling in. But I mean, whatever you guys are going through, everybody goes through different stuff in the business and has different time frames. But I just looked at it like, you know what? I'm going to be doing this for the rest of my life. I might as well have fun with it. I don't need to stress about it. And we're just going to go put in the work, you know, and I know that God put this thing in my life for a reason. So I figured if I just go put in the work, eventually the results are going to show up. It's like we go put the work in and just let God take care of the results. And if we keep doing what we're supposed to do, eventually that stuff falls into place. And, you know, being in it for 11 years now, I mean, we've seen everything with the company. I mean, I've been in it for 11 years. And so we've been through ebbs and flows. We've been through storms. We've gotten out of storms. I mean, that's what Wayne always taught us in the beginning. He said, you're either in a storm or you're going into a storm. I mean, it's just, it's always a cycle. And we've always, you know, withstood the test of time. We've been through so much over the last 11 years. And so I think every day, every month, and every year, I personally get more locked in and my belief continues to go up and I'm just more sold on it myself, where this is the only thing I ever want to be about, really. I mean, as far as my main source of income, this is all I ever want it to be for the rest of my life, because we've been through so much, and our leadership team, you know, like from Dennis to, you know, people in Asia, all over the world, we've got such a rock solid core of people that that they're just in it to win it. You know, we've got each other's backs. We're all about the people, and I think most of us are in alignment because we've got Wayne. You know, Wayne Nugent. You know, I was just hanging out with him all weekend out here in Colorado. We had our leadership Go IMD event with, you know, all the IMDs out here in the U.S. and we had about 600 people, you know, that were senior rep and above out here at the event. And we got a chance to hang out with Wayne all weekend, and it's just so fun getting to just to hang with this guy because I mean, he loves Worldventures, he loves us. He's not, you know, I've known him for a long time now, and you know, Wayne is just not a money motivated person. You know, he's a creation goal person. And we know that, you know, Worldventures is really what God put Wayne here to do, you know, and Wayne has stayed consistent with that. And he is, you know, he's played full out. He's always stepped up to the plate. He's just always done what he needs to do to, you know, to cast the vision and to build the company. And yeah, we're going to have storms here and there. It's part of the deal. I mean, we just got through one. We're going to go through more in the future. So, I mean, we just got to stick close together, just knowing that, you know, if Wayne continues to do what he needs to do, which is just build Worldventures and be a good steward of that, and then we do what we need to do, we're going to withstand anything, and we're always going to come out on top. What's been funny is I've been through probably 3 or 4 different storms, whether it's the economy or different people in the company. I mean, there's always different situations going on, but what's funny is when we go through a little storm, we have a little bit of a shakeup, but we come out of it just on, you know, at a higher level. And every time we seem to just multiply and multiply and multiply. And so personally now, whenever we go through a storm, I get more fired up about it because I know we're going to come out of it on top, but we're going to get more market share because there's going to be people that kind of sit back and they watch, they just kind of see, you know, what shakes out, and the people that just put their head down and go and don't have to worry about anything, you know, they're always the ones that come out with the most momentum. And it's just because, again, you know, Wayne he's walking in, you know, not in his will, but in what God put him here to do. And so I firmly believe that no matter what we've been through over the last 11 years, you know, God's really held this thing together because we're all doing what we were called to do in Worldventures, right? And, you know, there's no greed, there's no deceit, there's no, you know, none of that stuff comes as we've grown. And we just, you know, again, we're all in it to win it. So I couldn't be more fired up. And I know, you know, you guys got nothing but the rest of the world to take over out there, and we're just trying to play catch up with you guys. So you guys keep doing what you're doing. We keep doing what we're doing. We're going to be one of the biggest companies in the world. We're going to keep breaking records. We're going to multiply. And the people that are here for the ride, that stick it out, trust me, the ride to, you know, almost $1 billion was fun, but the ride to $2 and $3 and $5 billion, you're not going to want to miss that. And there's going to be people that do miss it. And what's interesting is, you know, through the 11 years I've been in it, you know, I've seen, you know, through every storm we go through, there's always some people that kind of fall off. And those people are, I mean, it's just, you know, I don't wish ill will on anybody, but it's just one of those things where the people that I know that have kind of fallen off, I know they regret big time not staying the course, because anything else that they went and did, while they might have been successful with it in some degree, it wasn't what they could have had in Worldventures, you know, because we've got the golden goose. If we just keep banging those drums, I mean, it's going to be one heck of a ride. So I'm just excited to be in the trenches with you guys, buddy. So, so that's kind of my story in a bird's eye view. But yeah, man, I appreciate you having me on. But I don't know if you had anything else that you wanted me to chat about.
So that's a fantastic story, man. I just want to ask, you know, and get the facts straight here, because so what age did you join Worldventures again?
So I was 19 and I just turned 30 about 2 weeks ago.
Okay, great. So 19 years old, and then your first year you made just $8,000, and then it took you 4 years to get to marketing director. Am I right?
Yep,
okay.
I was sitting, so it took me 2.5 to marketing director, and then I stayed there for, you know, the next, you know, year and a half, 2 years almost. Actually slid backwards.
Wow. Okay, so that's an amazing comeback story, man. So to all the millennials out there who are listening in, you know, can you share something inspirational to them? You know, how they can also break through, you know, the biggest challenge when you joined, when you were still in your teens, 19 years old. I bet you got a lot of people looking at you. You know, you're so young. Why don't you go get a job? You know, this kind of thing. Why don't you just go get a degree, a master's degree? this kind of thing. So just shout out to all the millennials on what makes us different. Why did you make this choice?
Yeah, I mean, again, this is just, I personally don't think I'm ever going to see something like Worldventures again in my lifetime. That's why I take it so seriously, and I'm blessed that we got a chance to see it. But, it's like being younger. Again, all of my buddies that, or the majority of them anyway, 99% of them that got out of school, I mean, they're just, they don't get what they think they're going to get. It's like they're in a lot of debt, and then they're working a job that's not really going to get them to where they want to get to. And maybe it's because they didn't get a chance to see something like this, or maybe they were skeptical, or whatever the case may be. But you just got to understand, like, when you get in, you might be watching this thing right now, and maybe you're new or new-ish, or you haven't been to a big training. Do whatever you got to do to get to the next big event so that you can build your belief level and understand what you're sitting on. So that's what happened after I went to my first training. I understood what I was sitting on, and I'm like, man, there's no other vehicle out there that I've been exposed to yet that can give me a fraction of what Worldventures can give me access to. Not just income, but lifestyle and freedom and relationships. I mean, this is an all-in-one kind of a deal that, that's disguised in travel, but we get so much more out of it. But you just got to know, like, I remember when I was a couple of years in, and I was chatting with Marcus Etta, our director of training, and I was just frustrated about where I was at, because I just, you always want it to go faster. And just so you know, like, it never goes fast enough, whether you're brand new or whether you're IMD or double IMD, it's never going to grow fast enough. All right. It can always be better, but you just have to have this, this constant balance of, being grateful for where you're at, but also urgency to want to do more. So be grateful, be patient, but also have that urgency. So kind of a little yin and yang there. But I remember talking to Mark about it, and I was just, frustrated with where I was at. And he was like, dude, you need to just like chill out. I think I was 21 at the time, and he's like, dude, you're 21 years old. I mean, let's play this ridiculously. If it took you 5 years or 6 years, or heck, even 10 years to really get this thing cranking, like, you're still way ahead of everybody else, because it's like, you're still going to be in your 20s at that point. I mean, most people are either just getting out of school, or they've only been working for a few years. But, most people that are joining network marketing, they're 30, 40, 50, upwards of that. And not that they're old by any means, it's just they got more years under their belt. So, if we end up living a full life, we're going to have a lot more time to enjoy it, and so we can be patient, we can have more fun with it, and take some time, again, be urgent about it, but don't be so, frustrated all the time, because that's the stuff that, that overflows into your business. If you're frustrated, people see that. If you're needy, people feel that. So you want to have fun, be urgent, just stay consistent. But even if it takes you a handful of years to really get this thing going, you're set up better than 99% of the planet. And it's just so much fun, because, I remember being frustrated in that moment. And then I took a step back after that conversation and just started having more fun with it. And I'm like, heck, in the grand scheme of life, if I'm going to do this for the next 80 years, let's say I live to 100, we do this for the next 80 years, if it took me 5 years to get to the top, that's a small amount of time next to the 80 years, but it's the people that are only giving themselves a certain amount of time that get really frustrated. Because if you're like, well, if I'm not rich in 3 years, then I'm going to quit, or I'm going to go do something else. You're only giving yourself a small window of time. And so, yeah, if 12 months goes by, you've already ate into a third of that. And so, yeah, you're feeling it because you're so frustrated. You just want it to happen so bad. So when I kind of changed my perspective on, I'm just going to be this thing in forever. I'm going to do this thing forever, even if I never get rich, but I just get to a point where, my income in Worldventures pays for my lifestyle. That's a million times better than having to do it, working a job, doing something I don't want to do, working for people I don't want to work for, being told what to do all day long. At least I've got the freedom in Worldventures. And so if I just can make enough money to just live with Worldventures, I would be happy. And then thankfully, because we've got a rocking company, it turns average people into some rock stars if you plug in properly, and it can get us to a much better place. But, again, by the time I was 24, I made my first million with this thing, and we've made a few more since then. And it can always get way bigger than you ever imagined. It's like sometimes people overestimate what they can do in 1 year, but they underestimate what they can do in 5 years. So you just have to give it enough time, because you got to grow, you got to go through your process, you got to go through the numbers, and then when all this stuff starts coming together, that's when the floodgates open, and boom, you're right up there with the dentist or any of the other leadership or the people that are really, rocking this thing out. So just have some fun with it, but get after it for sure, because this thing isn't going to come around again in our lifetime. I don't think it would anyway. So we might as well go swing the bat as hard as we can and swing for the fences and play full out, go collapse time frames and just get it done so that you can just start enjoying the rest of your life and having fun during the process.
All right, man. So one last question, okay? So from 19 years old until now, you are 31, am I right? Yes?
Just turned 30.
Just turned 30, wow, okay, man.
Yep.
And I noticed that you just got married a few years, was it a few years back? And you have a newborn and your daughter is 2 years old. So as a new father, you're a family man, can you share with the people out there how your life has changed in terms of lifestyle, for you and your wife and your 2-year-old daughter? What is it you think? Yeah.
It's been amazing, and that's I kind of piggyback back on the millennial stuff too, because when I got started, I didn't have I wasn't married, I didn't have kids, but I knew I wanted all that stuff, and so I figured if I could just go get it done now and go get this thing cranking now, when I do start having all that stuff, then it's going to be a lot more enjoyable. And that's exactly what's happened. I mean, we've been, married for 4 years now. We've been able to, travel the world. We have complete time and money freedom. I mean, we don't have to stress about stuff. We get to do the things that we want to do. We've got seasons that we're working hard on Worldventures, and we got seasons where we're just kind of hanging out. And yeah, I mean, our daughter just turned 2 a couple of days ago. So it's been fun just being able to not only, be there when we want to be there, without having any of these other, like a job that we have to go to 9 to 5 or 40 hours a week, but we get to take her around the world. We get to take her on trips, and then we get to, bring her around the Worldventures culture where she gets to be around people and positivity and personal growth. And so she's going to get, a head start on all that stuff. And then we got another baby girl coming in October here in about 5 or 6 weeks. And so it's fun. And I can't emphasize that enough. And I know Dennis can attest to this as well, where, if you go do what you got to do now and take that season of your life and go just hammer it out with Worldventures, I mean, it's just so much more enjoyable getting to do all of that stuff without having any stress and all this other stuff weighing you down. And you can just have fun with your family and just do the things that you ultimately want to do, go create amazing experiences and have something to look back on while helping them grow at the same time. So it's worth the squeeze for sure.
Wow. Okay. So congratulations on number 2 coming. 5 to 6 weeks. Is that 5 to 6 weeks down the road? Yeah.
Yeah. Home stretch.
All right, man. Well, looking forward to seeing your second daughter. Right. So congratulations again. So everybody, give you a big shout out, big thanks to Lorenzo Roybal. And right in the chat group. Thank you. We love you. Thank you so much, Joe, for your sharing. And it's been really motivational to hear your story. Thank you very much. So say
thank you guys. Love you guys.
In Asia, and let's go double IMD, man.
Let's do it. We'll see you guys soon. Hopefully I'll be doing an event out there, so hopefully I'll get a chance to meet you, take some pictures, and we'll have some fun. So let's go kick some butt.
All right. Yes, we look forward to seeing you in Asia. Thank you very much, Joe.